I'm Jason, UFC, and today we have a story about UFC CEO Dana White said he would not disrespect Stipe Miocic with a UFC 294 interim title offer after Jon Jones' injury. UFC CEO Dana White says Stipe Miocic was never considered to remain on UFC 295 after Jon Jones was forced out of their heavyweight title fight due to an injury. The main event of UFC's 30th anniversary show on November 11, 2023 at Madison Square Garden in New York City was derailed on Wednesday when Dana White announced Jon Jones has sustained a torn pectoral tendon and would require surgery, removing him from his scheduled title defense against Stipe Miocic. The UFC quickly moved on and booked an interim heavyweight title matchup between Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall, which left many wondering what the future of the heavyweight division would looked like. There were questions about why Stipe Miocic wasn't one half of the title bout, which Dana White explained following Wednesday's Power Slap event at the UFC Apex. This is what Dana White, UFC CEO Dana White, said. Jon Jones called and said he hurt his shoulder training and wrestling, and his team thought he needed just a few days off. You'll be fine and whatever. Dana White told reporters Jon Jones felt like something was really wrong, flew out here and did the MRI, found out what was wrong, and he was super emotional. Okay, we don't have to talk about that. He was super emotional about it, really upset, and we did what we do and flipped it and made another fight. Okay, Stipe Miocic not fighting for an interim title. Jon Jones said, I want to fight Stipe. I said, you're fighting Stipe. You have the greatest heavyweight of all time versus the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. This is a legacy fight for both of these guys. To even call Stipe and ask Stipe to fight for an interim UFC heavyweight interim title is complete disrespect. This is a fight of two legends. Legacy. Two of the greatest to ever do it. The fans want to see it. I want to see it. And they both want to do it. Dana White said the expected timeline for Jon Jones' recovery is at least 8 months. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May 2024. But it will depend on whether the surgery goes smoothly. At this point, it's far too soon to know exactly when Jon Jones will be back in the octagon. Wow. This is what Dana White says. I'm not thinking about anything until I know how Jon Jones' surgery goes. He got to have surgery, so I've got to get through the surgery and see how fast he recovers. He was very serious. He was literally like, I want to do the surgery this week. So he goes to get the thing done and start rehabbing and start working his way back. Okay. Wow. It's just an interesting because I think was the first question that most people asked is why wasn't Stipe Miocic one of the fighters on this event, and Dana White answers the question by saying that it would have been, quote, disrespectful to offer Stipe Miocic a interim UFC heavyweight title fight at UFC 295 because this is a legacy fight, the greatest heavyweight of all time, UFC heavyweight of all time, and the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. So it's a legacy fight, so it needs to happen. Now, listen, I'm an MMA casual, so what the hell do I know? But personally, I don't understand. I don't understand this, right? I really don't understand. Stipe Miocic in his last fight, which I believe was 2 years ago, got knocked out cold by Francis Ngannou, right? Like knocked out. So he's coming off of a loss, and somehow he's still the number one contender. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I've seen, Twitter and these MMA hardcore fans, they were all upset. They were saying Israel Adesanya doesn't deserve a rematch because he just got a rematch after he lost to Alex Bejeda, right? Didn't Stipe Miocic do the exact same thing? He lost to Daniel Cormier, sat out a year, right? Remember, Daniel Cormier had to fight Derek Lewis, and people were just, Daniel Cormier defended the belt versus Derek Lewis in a heavyweight title fight, and then he fought Stipe and he lost, right? So Stipe got his first rematch when he lost to Daniel Cormier after sitting out a year. Daniel Cormier defended the belt versus Derek Lewis, and then Stipe got a rematch, right? Stipe won that rematch. Stipe defeated Daniel Cormier again. Cormier retired, right? And then Stipe fought, I believe, after that, he fought Ngannou, right? And then Ngannou knocked him out cold 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So if that is true, that means Stipe's last win was, what, almost 3 years ago? To 2020, right? I'm assuming Stipe's last victory was in the year 2020. If you're telling me 4 years later, right, the fight won't happen until 2024. This is and maybe it's not the right analogy, but to me, it would be like, Israel Adesanya just said he's taking an extended break. It would be like if Israel Adesanya comes back in 2024 or 2027 and gets a middleweight title shot. Like, why is Stipe Miocic guaranteed another title shot after coming off of a knockout loss? I don't get it. Like, I get it, greatest heavyweight champion of all time. That's cool, right? But, when Anderson Silva at the end of his career, he wasn't still getting middleweight title shots. He was losing, right? If you lose, you lose. When you lose, you don't get rewarded with a title shot. At least you shouldn't, not because of your legacy, right? A lot of fighters have great legacies. But if Daniel Cormier was to come out of retirement off of a loss, right, he shouldn't get a title shot. At least I personally don't think so, right? And I don't understand how Stipe Miocic why wasn't he even called? I know he says he's the greatest heavyweight of all time, but what's Stipe Miocic's opinion on this? Is he, Jon Jones said he wanted to fight Stipe, but is Stipe saying, well, the only fight I wanted was, Jon Jones? I don't know. Maybe Stipe should have been in the interim title. And if he wins, he wins. But if he loses again, like, that's it. The fight's lost. It is what it is. It happens sometimes. Sometimes we don't get the matchups we quote unquote want to see. I don't know if it's the biggest matchup the fans have been calling for anyway, right? Stipe is coming off of a knockout loss, right? It's time for new people, the Cyril Gans, the Almeidas, Jilton Almeidas, right? Like, it's time for them, the Sergey Pavlovich, the Tom Aspinall. It's time for them to start getting their title shots. We can't say that because Stipe Miocic is the greatest heavyweight of all time, and that's fine, he could have that title, but even him coming off of a knockout loss 2 years ago, he still deserves to be in the title. Like, he could fight Sergey Pavlovich, for interim title. He could fight Tom Aspinall for interim. Why not? That's the best way to do it. So, and even if you do keep Stipe out of this match and say, you know what, we're going to have Stipe versus Jon Jones next year. What, Stipe is going to fight Jon Jones for the heavyweight title, and the winner of Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall, what are they going to do? Are they going to defend the interim title, or are they going to wait for Jon Jones to come back or to rehab, right? Come back 8 months later, fight Stipe, and then they get that? I mean, come on. Like, this is just getting lost. But like I said, I'm an MMA casual, so what the hell do I know? But let me know your opinion of this story. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's crazy. I have to even preface this. But I just personally do not believe Stipe Miocic, who got knocked out in the second round 2 years ago, deserves a title shot. And if he deserved it, then he should have been in an interim title, right? Like have him fight Sergey Pavlovich if he deserves it and it's not disrespectful. But to me, the idea you have Stipe Miocic wait until 2024, to have Jon Jones and him fight for legacy, it's just like, you know what? If it's a legacy fight, then it shouldn't be a championship fight, right? It can't be a championship fight. It just got to be a legacy fight, right? Because what's the big deal? If both of them are going to retire after the fight, who cares if it's for the belt? The belt really doesn't mean it. The belt is just there, right? But if we're just saying like this is for a legacy fight, we just want to see the fight, right? We don't care if it's for the belt. We're not talking about who's the greatest, the championship. We're talking about the legacy, right? We just have the fight. Who cares who's the champion? It wouldn't matter. It's a legacy fight. But let me know your opinion of this story. I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about UFC CEO Dana White would not disrespect Stipe Miocic with a UFC 295 interim title fight offer. Unbelievable. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.